So B, he goes in the Pro Scouts, and he builds a TC on the front. He's evolved it again. Now, Vodka gonna be man in the Mongols, and B gonna be on the Rus here in Dry Arabia. A map that people are still getting very experimental with. And actually, funnily enough, B was one of the first players to get experimental in the direction of the ball. Whether it was the Rus, the Chinese, like this guy has been boar obsessed. And that's why that's straight away the first detail I'm looking at. And this central boar might encourage him to go for one of those aggressive Rus openings. We'll have to see if Vodka's prepped or has his own strategy to deal with this, though. There are a few ways you can go as the Mongols if you anticipate early aggression from the Rus. But the issue I find that you have right now with the Mongols is while you can choose to invest heavily in a feudal, it doesn't play to your advantages anymore due to the nerfs to the Uvu gathering rates and how powerful the step readout is. The way that I think you play a longer feudal as the Mongols is if you find a way for secondary eco value, whether that's through rampant raiding, burning down buildings and getting 50 resources, or going for a second town center. So with this type of generation as well, with the Uvu placement and everything else, you would expect Vodka to want to go for a Castle Age. But folks, I've got bad news for you. There it is. Right there. Now, I definitely didn't just zoom in so that when I do this, it looks like a longer distance. It really does feel that long and that far away. And this is something B can heavily manipulate. If he does go for the early feudal aggression the Rus have become known for in the previous 2 or 3 weeks, then there's a lot of exposed value for him to exploit out of Vodka. Although he won't have the ability to constantly burn down his Uvu, what he will be able to do is deny him equity on the gold lines. And without gold, what is a Mongol? I'm going to guess a very poor Mongol. Because without that gold, without access to the Castle Age, you can't really reach your critical power spikes. You can't get the creeping siege going. You can't get access to your lancers or your kind of healthier compositions, right? With the Magadai lancers or the man-at-arms and the crossbows. And the concern also is if your opponent is able to stage early and get a technological advantage with an aggressive feudal force outside your base, even if you somehow, by some miracle, claw your way up into Castle Age, they're going to be prepped in position to instantly exploit you. So, kind of curious to see how Vodka's going to address this one. For the moment, he's going to go for the more standardized, greedy opening the Mongols. No longer do you go for these military buildings as your first structure. It's usually straight into the pasture, followed by another pasture. And then if you're incessantly greedy and for some reason need a third one because you're overcompensating, another pasture. And then straight onto the Uber in the meantime. So I'm expecting him to just gather enough gold for a tech up and then pull fully back until he builds a sizable feudal force. It depends really on what his opponent does. So I think the important detail for me would be that Vodka actually gets vision on his opponent's side of the map. Right now, he's doing a good job. He did go for the second scout, so he's denying equity away from the Rus player. Really critical ingredient to success against Rus players. But B has already got a healthy number. You can see it right there. He's feeling pretty good about this. He already got 315 bounty. If you can crack the 300 mark as the Rus, you're really happy. It's not just about unlocking the increased harvest rate and the generation of gold in your cabins. It's the fact that you also have 300 plus gold in your economy this early on in the game. And it propels you forward. And you're going to see it do that right now as Vodka, in conjunction with this terrible gold line, is nowhere near ready for a tech up himself. Second pasture coming out, that's also going to delay his timing further. This means that B should end up with a window of about a minute, minute and a half at least, feudal age advantage over his opponent, which he can actually push to his advantage to go aggressive or possibly even go for something like a second TC play. The scouts out in the field, like you can see that for the moment, they're focused on the wolves, but once they are done with Wolfie, they will be coming for little civvies over here. And that's exactly why Vodka's going to be forced into the outpost early on, another defensive means requirement. And this will slow down his timings further. In the meantime, scouts moving out to attack onto these villages. Really need the third one here, actually, to maximize the damage, but he needs to get those sheep back to base to keep his own economy afloat. The question is whether he can get one villager before this goes up. It's going to be a little bit tight. And he has to peel off to deal with the scout, so it looks like outpost should go up successfully. Vodka should get away with this. I say that. B's very obsessed right now. But ultimately, garrison point will be available. He'll have to shift away. Prioritization will come onto the scout, and that's going to be a loss that could have been avoided by B, as the final arrow will come out, ending one of those scouts' lives. And straight out onto the board, as expected here. And Vodka, I think he maybe just about saw that. The question is whether he can do anything about it. And look, this is what I'm talking about. This, I was in a certain player's chat. He was asking for advice, and I was just like, I was one of those typical people who knows too much in Twitch chat. You know, the astute ELO connoisseurs, where I knew everything about the game. I'm like, pull him towards the tree line. Get him towards the tree line. Get that gold. B doesn't need that advice. He understands perfectly. He baits the boar next to the tree line, snipes it there, then drops the hunting cabin. So now he's generating 25 gold per minute as well as getting the boar. This means in terms of resource exchange, this hunting cabin pays for itself in 4 minutes. On top of that, he's then also getting the beneficial gathering rate of the boar, which is 0.9 food per second. And with 8 people being out here, it means in 5.1 minutes, he will have 2,000 food from those 8 villages. A huge bulk into your early game economy. And the question is now, what does Vodka do to deal with this? Constructing up with the Deer Stone, he's going to need to get an aggressive force soon. And the concern here is that he's not the Abbasids or the French, right? He's not this Civ that has this really solid early timing to come in and just snipe out villages here, deny equity with a dive, or get a ram super quick. Instead, he's a Civ that would have to build a force that can construct the ram and then also get his hands on the siege engineering via a blacksmith. So overall, you're talking about a lot of investments, right? A lot of stages of these investments. You need the military buildings to build the force. You need a blacksmith, another 150 wood. You then need to pay for the research. And this is going to delay your timing. And the problem is that B, you may notice, has gone into pro scout. So even if you now force him off the board, it's not the end of the world. Also, because of the timing with which he went on this board, you can see how quickly he's depleting this. By the time you'd have a military force to punish him on this board, it's going to be down to about 500 resources, at which stage he's already paid for the investment. Because remember, if it takes you 5 minutes to extract this boar, and you're getting 25 gold at least, now up to 33 per minute on this hunting cabin, investment's already paid for long before your opponent arrives to kill you. And I can't believe it. B. Oh my. Okay, this is the next layer to it. So B, he goes in the pro scouts and he builds a TC on the front. He's evolved it again. And I love this so much. This is so smart because this is optimal, right? Pro scouts, a lot of people have been asking, is it worth it? Is it a valid investment? It takes so long to go get the carcasses. It's such a delay and it leaves you so exposed. He's half the exposure. Because he doesn't have to run now across the entire map to get back to his primary TC. It's almost half the distance from this location on the deer, even closer from these pockets. And it also means his main base can focus on the woodline production. And this expansion will be fully invested on going for food. What a play out of B. Oh, man. He really is just innovating today. I feel like every game we're watching of him right now, he's got something new, something sparkly to show us. And that is definitely the case once again here. Question is, what is Vodka going to show us other than an empty bottle of booze? Because you need that or vast amounts of copium to get you through this one. And you can see it is already the blacksmith. So siege engineering, as we talked about, remember that is a 175 investment. On top of that, he did already pay 150 wood for this. And then he also needs to get another military building because he went to stables. So you can see how heavy these investments are, how quickly they add up. On top of the fact you need the GUR plus the outpost, like everything is delaying him. Meanwhile, B is fully exploiting those delays. And it means he will quickly be able to react to any aggression coming his way. And look at what B's already doing. He's on the stone. Interesting. There's no way he builds a third one, right? No, that would be too greedy. But it is B. And when you're talking about B, anything B on the table. Like, I wouldn't put it beyond this lad to go for it. Scouts are at least going to ride back to force the Khan away. Wooden Fortress was forced to be constructed, so B will definitely look to get all of this stone to make it worth the investment, as that is a 175 wood structure. But it doesn't delay him as much as it delays Vodka's timings, because the difference is that one player has 2 TCs and the other's stuck on 1. And the Archer Mass starts to assemble. Vodka needs to be fast at this. You can see that he's not fully investing, though. Interestingly enough, Vodka is floating enough economy to scale into a castle age while building enough military to breach this 4 TC. Question is whether B is going to read this correctly and build his forces. And yes, he is. And he has the counter. The counter has been spotted, but what can you do about it, little old Vodka? That's what the L stands for in this situation, because he's feeling very small against what B is producing. Horseman, good solution to the scouts. Remember, folks, if you ever want to deny vision, scouts, a pesky unit, when they're used by high-level players, they will get vital information. The way you deny that is Horseman. Horsemen are quicker than scouts, and as you can see, over time, will chase them across the map and kill them off with their 7 damage. Usually 9, but he went for the early horseman. Oh, no! And that's the effect of early horseman versus normie horseman. Normie horseman would have had that scout in a body bag long before he reached the TC. But Vodka never paid for the upgrade. Even though it's only 100 resources, he didn't see it as worthwhile, and it means that that scout vision is going to be maintained. B gets the good trade again. And now Knights will just chase him away, deny the vision back the other way. And this TC really feels insulated at this stage. Spearman now coming to the competition for Vodka. B will need to scout this out soon, but not before he's done with pro scouts. And this is the perplexing part. Usually one of the biggest weaknesses of going to pro scouts, another reason on the list of why you don't do it really, is because you stop using scouts for their intended purpose. You stop getting vital information on your opponent's doings, right? But in this situation, B had all the vital info because the opponent keeps feeding it back to him. He saw the horsemen's coming in. He saw the way he's trying to pressure. He saw the lack of rush, which means that Vodka clearly must have been saving some resources for a tech up potential. And it means that because Vodka wasn't willing to all in on this timing, B's essentially already got his value. This TC's mostly played for itself. A wooden fortress now constructing up. And in the meantime, the Knights continue to be pushed out. And the Knights are getting to a healthy count as well. I mean, Vodka up at 25 military. B at 15, of course. About half of those are into scouts. The difference maker here really is going to be the fact, though, that you've got Wooden Fortress plus TC. You've got a lot of spearmen, but I don't feel like you've got maybe that many archers to exploit any repair attempts that B's going to make. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a forward racks drop or, well, not rack, but archery range drop or something along those lines, because that's really where you get your power. And there it is, straight away. B, am I his coach now? I mean, if only I could be so lucky, my mind would probably melt the way this guy tries to innovate the game on a weekly basis. But double archery range at the proxy base. Very effective, minimizes the walking distance. It means that his stable units, which have to run further, will arrive at the same time due to the fact that they're quicker. And these archers will not be impaired by their slow movement speed. And you can see how quickly he's going to build up this army, going into 3 archery ranges. He's going to get that second archery range up quickly with so many workers on it. Remember, each one of these villages you add past the first one is less efficient. So if you have, say, 3 villages looking to build, have them all build individual archery ranges versus build one at the same time. A double round, this is a hefty investment. Sizable army for Vodka. He needs to get through this, but no, he's not paying attention. That ram's a freebie. Vodka, what are you doing? Oh no, one's down already. 1 or 2 villages will die, but a worthwhile trade. He'll garrison them all in. Protects the rest of his eco force here. Big mistake made. Vodka caught checking a text from his girlfriend there. Was not looking. And now they'll sneak out for the second one. And the archers are paid by the Knight. And a second ram is going down. And Vodka is now 600 wood in the grave for nothing. Barely any damage done. 69 pop cap overall, but in terms of eco, like most of it, that's where it lies to be. 54 eco to the 37. Really not minimizing that difference at all, and instead Vodka has to double down. If this fails again, the game just might be over. The white flag might just be waved. And his window's closing quick. You can see 14 archers, but already B is up to 9, and he's going to amass quicker. 2 more archer ranges going down. A big benefit of the Roost is the fact that you can afford to build all these due to the fact that your wooden fortresses give you the extra 20% wood drop-off. This is what is efficiently booming his economy so well. It's not just the fact that he has 2 TC versus 1. It's the fact that he's also got a 20% upfixer on top of that from his wood. And it really is the world of difference here. 3 stables, 5 archer ranges. Meanwhile, when you look at Vodka's base, it looks so small in comparison. Double rack, stable, and an archer range. Oh no, double ram. Like, that's when you know Vodka is do or die now. Maybe go for a 3rd ram, but... oh, he's like, yeah, of course I will. But to what end? How the hell is it going to get you out of this now? Because the force is too big. You can see the numbers are no longer in his favor. Archers, attack speed arrow coming out, gives Vodka a slight edge, but not when he uses it to run away. Big mistake made there, the spearman out of location. And now he has no Yam movement speed. Now he's forced to fight, and this fight is going to end badly. And Vodka... he'll pour 1 shot into the glass, and then he'll pick up the bottle and chug it down because he needs it. There is no way that he wants to remember this one after a long night as B obliterates him. Oh, what an opening from B. What a way to do it. I mean, B, phenomenal opening. Actually, I love the way he innovated this. We talked about the fact that, like, this build keeps changing. People have their different ways. We've seen some people go for the archery range proxy. We've seen other people like Marine Lord who go for the wooden fortress harassment into the opponent's base. Instead, B, he's like, Boar, this board needs more villagers. I'm going to drop a TC, I'm going to boom my economy, and I'm going to get maximum exploitation here and then bridge my bases later. Something that's pretty cocky to do against the Mongols, but is well informed by the layout of Vodka's base. And as B nicely actually informed us about in the chat, hello B, he was harassing his economy. You are correct. Yes, you were sneaking in there. I didn't quite mention it because there was just the Ram loss in itself felt so crippling anyway, right? But like, even if that harassment doesn't happen, it's very hard for Vodka to easily defend these Rams. I feel like he put himself very clearly on the clock, but my biggest issue is that Vodka floated way too much eco. You saw him eventually invest it, but when we look at those numbers, around the timing when you can see that he starts to invest in the Ram Rush strat, he doesn't fully commit to it, right? He does this mistake that we see a lot of players do where they kind of dip their toe in the pool. They're like, oh, it's a little bit too cold. I don't want to get in there, right? I'll try this strategy, but I'll leave myself wiggle room elsewhere. And I think, like, when you're up against the best of the best, which, you know, there's no doubt in the B is one of the best in the game, I don't think you can be very half-assed about these strategies unless you're in a position of power. If your opponent went for multi-TCs and they're getting better economy gains, you can't afford to say that I'm going to half-invest in my aggression and then fall back on my own eco timings, because your eco timing isn't going to be realize quick enough, right? When you're up against double TC like this, you need to unlock Castle Age quickly, or you need to shut out your opponent's TC expansion fast. Vodka fails to do either, and it means B gets a very dominant-looking win here on Dry Arabia. To B versus MJ. My words, my tongue's getting tired. I'm too excited for this one because it's Roos versus the Abbasids, and we are once again taking to King of the Hill. Now, we've already had a little bit of a discussion about how poopy the Roos can feel on this map due to the heavy reliance on wood and the lack of wood. But we've already seen in previous games the answers with which B can present. This man likes to play hard on the ball and hard into a secondary TC. And what I spot are lines that are manipulatable for that. There is a wood line down here, a wood line over here. He actually has options available to him. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him play into that Boar Strat again, especially considering it's on the way to his opponent's base. Usually when you think about the Boar play, you need certain optimizations. So one of the most obvious ones that we've seen utilized a lot in Golden League, that's kind of been the go-to one that actually was the original build that B innovated, was the Boar play into a proxy, archery range, or whatever, pressing forward in your opponent's base. And that's a nice one. It puts you on the clock. It gives you a clear timing. But it's not the only one. There are a lot of other plays you can do. And one of the ones that B's been doing more frequently is the secondary TC. He comes out here, he gets his hunting cabin after dragging the ball next to the tree line to make sure he's getting more income because the hunting cabins generate gold, and then he plops down a TC in this area. And this map is primed for it. I love that he's been experimenting with on this. In fact, you can tell that he's practicing for the Golden League. Because the Roos have to be an off-meta Civ for King of the Hill, right? There's no way that this is one of the top picks here on this map. No one's going to be expecting this. So if he perfects this build, he is going to look dominant on this map with the Roos. So I'm kind of excited to see how he innovates it again. As we saw him attempt a little bit earlier up against Lenok, he ran into some teething issues due to some sacred site problems. But overall, this matchup, this is less whoopsie-daisy to allow your opponent to eco-boom, should we say. He done it against HRE before, and that's kind of just, that's a sin. You don't do that. Like, HRE is the one Civ that you don't allow to eco-boom for free, even if you're eco-booming yourself. Unless you're HRE. But even then, you're playing out towards the relics, right? In that game, he allowed his opponent to have relics for free. That same advantage doesn't exist for MJ in this. By the way, for those wondering who the hell MJ is, I'm shrugging. I don't know who owns this account. All I know is it is quickly hopping up into the top ranks. 257 games played, 86th in the world, 1,809 ELO rating. For those who are questioning B's skill, B currently is 26th in the world, 1989. Don't know if that's the year he's born, but it's definitely his ELO rating right now with 1,138 games played and a lot of innovation in those games. So much credit to give over this guy. Like I said before, I love these type of people. These people that are always evolving the game. I'm always excited about people who are looking for their own path through. It really serves a purpose, especially once the game develops to a point where multiple avenues are available to civs. I love that we're starting to move past this element of this is the build. You must build like this as X Civ or you suck and are doing it wrong. Instead, things are starting to kind of spruce up. People are starting to divulge, experiment with different things, and B has definitely been at the forefront of that. That's true. It could be Marine Jord. Let's assume that MJ is Marine Jord, Marine Lord's long-lost Swedish brother. That seems possible. Well, Marine Lord's long-lost Swedish brother does have a lot of glorious wood in this map, actually. Really nice wood placement for an Abbasid player. He shouldn't feel too pressured to come out early, and it feels like this is going to leave him very inclined towards multi-TCs. The limitation, of course, is going to be gold, but that's always the case of King of the Hill. You have to play towards the center. And I'm curious to see what B's opening is going to be. I'm expecting stables, even up against a civ like the Abbasids, just because it allows you to control the midfield. You don't necessarily need to engage directly with your opponent. What you do need to be aware of, though, is against an Abbasid player, they might go for an early ram rush. And what is going to be the counter to that is the real question, because you see already moving out the scout, so he's definitely looking onto that ball. And the read by MJ is right, but the scout count is wrong. MJ even went for a second scout. A really big round of applause for that, by the way. Not enough Abbasid players do this. These are the greedy mother truckers that regularly choose to only go for one scout, even against the Roost. But you need to deny that equity, but you won't be able to deny this. He's baiting the Boar away. This is wasting a lot of B's time. What the hell, MJ? He won't let him have it for free. Boar is going to reset on the aggro. And look at it, B. He needs to stay close enough so the aggro doesn't switch, and MJ cannot do anything. Not against 4 scouts. He drags him towards the wood line. Spears out, stabs it down. The best thing B can do, MJ can do, rather, is try to deny this ball. But he won't be able to deny him from gathering it. 75 gold is gained, so B gets the final hit, and now he has this juicy ball location right next to the hunting cabin. What does that mean? Well, that means this hunting cabin will pay for itself without even the boar in the equation, because now you'll be gaining probably about 17, 18, maybe even 19 gold. 25! I try to be more reserved. He's going to get the full wham bam. Every time I say 25, we're at like 17. Every time I say 17, we're at 25. This is fantastic, though. This is something a lot of people need to do to optimize this build. It's a small detail that snowballs into a big one in 5 minutes' time. Because in 4 minutes' time in this situation, B would have paid for this hunting cabin. On top of that, he's getting the glorious gathering rates. Remember the boar, you gather 0.9 food per second, compared to like deer that's 0.83, and sheep that's 0.72, if I recall correctly. Or 0.78, it's one of the two. Boar's good, guys. That's what we're getting at. And you know what I love about boar? Boar is anything but a boar. Boar brings glorious fights. So fun to watch, right? Because you get a lot of aggression, you get a risky play into the center, and you're getting good bang for buck. And that's exactly what B and others who've been following in him after with this build have proven. The boar does have some value, you just need to extract additional value. You can talk about the risk of, oh, my villagers are out in nowhere and they're gonna die. Well, yes, you can, like, but I could say your villagers are in your base and they're gonna die, right? How are you using your villagers? What are you doing to protect them? What is their purpose, their value here? That's what B has proven, is there is value in this boar, there's value in this expansion. And even with other civs, after you're done with the boar, you can just turn this into a lumber camp expansion or a secondary TC, which is the play that I'm expecting B to do in the coming minutes. So, MJ, meanwhile, is prepping on the stone. So it looks like secondary TC is coming soon. And although it looks like B might not make for this play, keep in mind that he has the flexibility to do so because he's playing as the Roos. In a flash, he can easily go into that stone because of this right here. The ability to trade in the Golden Gate allows you to quickly, just with 2 supplies and 200 gold, get 300 stone. But instead, B has gone onto the stone outcropping with 2 people. 2 people doesn't seem like enough to buy a secondary TC. It should be enough to get those upgraded arrow slits, though. Meanwhile, scouts. Oh no! The camel! The camel! And one of the scouts, he has enough to actually get away. B! You son of a gun! What a way to deny the first round of aggression from MJ. What a play! And the best part, these scouts will heal over time. And it's not like 20% damage does much to scouts. They only hit for 4 anyway. What a way to kill a camel archer. Oh, big balls B. And that's a pricey investment to just lose like that, remember. It's 240 resources, guys. That's pricey. Especially considering all the damage you just done to these scouts is going to be healed. These units passively heal over time. About 1 health every 2 seconds. Second camel archer coming out. An archer's now being produced. This is the big power of the Roost. And it's kind of surprising that MJ played into the Camel Archers. I think his intent here was to aggress early, poke and prod 1 or 2 villages, kind of a pseudo-raiding type unit. If you're just building Camel Archers to address archers, I've got bad news for you, my friend. It will not end well, because you will be outmassed. This is the phenomenal strength of the Roost. Their ability to mass military infrastructure as well as archers quicker than practically any other civ in the game due to their additional 20% drop-off via the Wooden Fortress. The 20% additional drop-off that B hasn't actually got. And I am perplexed by this. B knows about this secondary wood line, but he doesn't get a Wooden Fortress, so he's not actually getting any additional drop-off, which is a big loss if you're playing as the Roost. It's one of your strongest elements to your economy early on. In conjunction with the beauty that is the bounty system, giving you just surplus gold. Really surprised. He's at least got pro scouts, and that's where this Camel Archer can be annoying. So much damage done by the scouts, though. And you know what the best part is? B can just peel off the injured ones and easily get back. But look at this, the archers come in. MJ. That Camel Archer damaged by the archers last time is going to be forced away now. And Horseman being pushed out by MJ, but the important detail is the pro scouts are covered. He's collected the carcasses, and the Horsemen are too late to do anything about it. And there we go. Wooden Fortress really late there from B, but it's finally going to be there. Hasn't gone into the double broad axe just yet. And this should be where he starts to try and bridge the gap. He's playing towards the south side of the map this time around. There's less wood here compared to the north, which is just true on average almost every time I watch this map. But there's still plenty down here. A huge wood line here plays into the one where you're already on the hunting cabin plus boar, which means you can just drop a lumber camp here anyway. And he will do that, by the way. He's about to dry up the boar. Once that's done, lumber camp goes down. All of a sudden, these 8 villages become lumber camp workers. And that's the efficiency of the play. This is what I was talking about, right? You can build a proxy base here, or you can build into lumber afterwards. There is definitely additional value to be found out of these boar plays. And a lot of maps allow for this additional value because there's almost always wood lines near to the boars. And MJ already on guard here. But look what B's doing. He's already got 2 deer patches. And he knows the 3rd one is not going to be taken away from him anytime soon. Maybe the 4th one, there's a possibility MJ plays onto it with an expansion of his base. But B's happy. Overall, he's getting at least 3 deer sites worth. For reference, that's 350 times 21. Which brings you out at an incredibly healthy... What is that? 10,650? My math skills, I know. That's a lot. That is a ridiculous quantity, actually. Wait, no, that's not 10,360. That's bad. My brain just went the wrong way. 7,350. Where did I get the extra influx of deer? My brain thought 31. I don't know why. Just ignore me. Sometimes I go crazy. But 7,350 is still a lot. You can do a lot with that. That's a lot of archers. That's a lot of tech up. You're good off. Ignore my NA maths, because at the end of the day, when you come up with the real one, I'm not even NA. It's just, we usually mock NA people for maths. At the end of the day, the numbers are still golden. Or foodin', rather, in this situation for B. Yeah, clearly I don't know, you know how you have like turduckens, which is like turkey and duck? I've clearly been making steer, which is sheep stuffed in deer. Delicious steer. Look at this horseman count going up for MJ. Ooh, rapport to the archers, but knights are going to engage. Scouts aren't blocking the shots. Heavy damage coming in. MJ going to shrink that army quickly. B pushing out more knights in the meantime, but those knights, remember, the camel unease is most effective against them. Look how low their damage is due to this 20% reduction. And now the archers are going to be punished. MJ is just bodying B right now. And B's in trouble, but not fully. Look what he done. TC finally went down on the extension, and the extension is fully unharassed. B right now is drawing all attention towards his main base, and MJ is not doing anything to punish his pocket eco, which is slowly turning into a full-fledged base of its own. Ooh, lordy. B just keeping an eyeball as well, like using the scouts for vision, always maintaining an eye on what's coming. And it's hard now for MJ to dive, right? Like, none of these units are effectively decent at diving, right? Like, you've got 3 missile resistance on the horsemen, not too bad. These camel archers are measly. Without any upgrades, which of course he did get the ranged defense upgrade, they have 0 melee and missile resistance. They are taking raw damage. There's no way that they take reduced damage. That's why they got 175 health. That's why they're balanced. The cool thing, by the way, now that we have a small break to talk about the Camel Archers, about picking them against this composition is because B went into Knights, he fully validated this. If his opponent had built Camels and he had gone into Horsemen, it's actually better for B because Horseman's damage doesn't get reduced by the 20% from Camel Unease. Camel Unease, as you can see there, it reduces all cavalry damage by 20%. But the weird part about Camel Unease is it doesn't affect bonus damage. So had B been building into Horsemen instead of Knights, he would only be losing 10% of his damage, because the other half would be coming from bonus damage onto these Camel Archers. And that's what you need to know about Camel Archers. If your opponent builds into Knights, heavy cavalry rather, just to include Lancers in that as well, or they go into Spearmen, your thumbs up for this transition. And look at the size of MJ's army. It's a pricey army, 20 horsemen. And while B is comparable in the military numbers, most of it is just archers and scouts. And those scouts, by the way, did manage to move out. Feels like a mistake by MJ, but MJ is going on to the expansion. The question is, without scouting vision, will he be able to see this? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go deep enough. Oh my god, no. No way. No way does B get away with this. He actually might. B's going to try to bait him away with 1 or 2 Knights. He's burning down the Wooden Fortress and the expansion, but the question is whether he'll be able to see the TC that has been stuck underneath his very nose. And I don't think so. There's no reason to wrap south, maybe to actually just try to wrap round back towards the main base, but why wouldn't you go north instead? Hi-ya-ya. And the Knights are baiting him away. B, the timing on this is perfect. MJ is never going to look to the south. Oh my god. B is in a submarine right now. He's playing battleships, and MJ has failed to sink anything of true value. However, he's being caroused towards it now. The question is, will he go deep enough? Because he turns to fight now. More archers coming in for B. B trying to hold him back here. Knights have to peel off, though. Overwhelmed by the horseman count. And archers are going to body their faces straight into the horsemen. Archers focusing on the Camel Archers, forcing them away. And once they're out of range, that's when the horsemen will just be mincemeated by the Knights. B throwing away the archers to make sure the camels get thrown away as well. And they are veteran Camel Archers now, a lot harder to pierce through. Veteran Horsemen also. B, once again, trailing the age behind, needs to sort his gold soon and get up in the castle soon. And look at this. The walls, will it make it obvious to MJ? Does he suspect it anymore? And even if he did, what does he do? Because he was delayed on his tech up, because he didn't get the upgrades in time, this trade worked out so phenomenally well for B. Yes, he might have 20% less damage on these Knights, but he doesn't have 20% less tankiness to them. And even with that 20% reduction, they are still doing a hell of a lot of damage more independently per unit than Horsemen. An army's going to be swept. MJ gets cleaned up, down under 10 military pop cap. Meanwhile, B still healthy at 38 and already raiding in. The Knights, they butchered him. Found him on the bushes. And that eco difference has shrunk. MJ only 2 villages now up over B. And B with extensive control of the map. Now, MJ has extended his influence in the north. He's dropped some outposts here, but those outposts have limited value. They will deny at least 1 relic, but that's kind of it. Second relic in the center is accessible by B. Then when we move to the south, it's thumbs up. Everything is within his reach. But B, he's done it again. This Sly Demon is once again going for the high trade house. This one, probably less favorable than the ones we've seen before. I'm expecting to get maybe around 100 and 1,216 gold. Somewhere in that radius. There's just not that many trees overlapping here. But this will allow him to eventually unlock tier 3 bounty again. And this is why he does the play. This is the bigger picture. And where's the second boar? Where is Pumbaa 2.0? I think he got slayed. So it looks like he won't be able to extract that value, as that did get blocked from him. But you can see he's starting to march in, and he has so much free reign here. Tech up is complete. He'll take a fight up against the Lancers. MJ forced to peel back. And the Archers are a problem. It's giving the favorable trades for B. B marching in onto the villagers. Villagers going to be forced to garrison. Wraps around, sticking on top of the Lancers to finish them off. And he's in. Damage is truly being done here. MJ, of course, it is cheap to replace these lost villages with fresh foodstuffs. But it's still the fact you have to replace them, and the fact that B went for a secondary TC that might not still be fully realized by MJ. He might suspect it due to the walls that were down here, but he has no full confirmation that there is a base in the south. Oh my god, the archers, they got in! MJ didn't peel back. No textiles either, makes short work, and knights are wrapping around. This damage is critical to MJ's economy. He needs it. He needs to scale. He needs to get into siege. He needs to make a transition on the military front. But without wood, he's lacking the ability to do so. And such a sting there. 74 eco to the 58 now. And he rides even deeper. MJ, what happened? The military force was so strong, but it was a farce. It was a lie. It was a fallacy. And now, close to being at 0 military, MJ has nowhere left to run and hide. He will have to fall back off this map and out of this game. B will reign supreme.